Truth is, you're trying to do too many different things at once. You're trying to start a business, run a marathon, get abs, build an online business, make money online, travel the world, and probably find someone to get married to. And there is no way you can do all of that at once and actually win in life. I have built a business worth $100 million plus, got married, have 2 kids, and really I've done some amazing things in my life that I never thought were possible. Why? As I figure out a cheat code, a simple cheat code, which has allowed me to do massive things and nobody knows about. And no, it's not monk mode or some productivity app or a course that I did, which is about time, location, freedom, or a morning routine or no scrolling before you go to sleep. The truth is, it's none of that stuff. It's actually something that I figured out by doing it myself, and I call it sprints. And the simple idea is that you dedicate a certain amount of time in your life to try to achieve one real big thing, which essentially is very important to you or would change your life in some capacity. So instead of chasing a lot of things at once, you're going to actually do them one by one, and you're really going to mean it. And to explain this and how I've done it in my personal life, I'm going to walk you through 3 examples. So before I actually started my business, one of the first things I wanted to do was get married before, because I wanted to solve that in my life and have that done so I can then fully focus on growing a business. And so, unlike most people who probably would, get engaged and wait years to get married, and in that time they're figuring out what they're going to do and long-term plans or whatever. For me, I had a very simple sprint. The sprint was, I'm going to get engaged, I'm going to get married, and I'm going to get this done. I need to get that part of my life done so I can move on to the next big thing to achieve. So, from proposing to actually getting married was only a 3-month process, because I didn't propose thinking, let's see what happens. It was with one thing only. I'm going to propose, and from there, we're going to plan a wedding, get a wedding done, and then it's done. Which meant the thing that people normally take 2 years on, I dedicated the time to get it done that much faster. Meaning, naturally, if you're going to get married, you have to go look at venues, you have to do all of these things. But it's actually very easy to do if that's your actual focus. What that means though in practice is, even though, of course, you have to work, you have to do other things, but you start to put one thing ahead of everything else in any time that you have outside of your commitments that are non-negotiable. That makes sense. But outside of that, every single time you have goes on this one thing to solve it. I'm not trying to also then start my business. I'm not trying to also do all the other things, get in shape or pick up, hip hop, street dancing, because I used to do it when I was young, and, get good at playing some game online, and essentially what most people try to do. I was the same, for years growing up, I just had too many goals and not enough progress. And I was trying to use all different methods that I see other people talk about, and none of them would really work for me, because I still would not actually be doing the thing that I really need to do. So by thinking it mentally that it's a sprint, and what that means is when you're in a sprint, other things can fall off and it's okay. So in the case of, when I need to make sure I can get this wedding organized, other things had to fall off, meaning maybe I'm not speaking to some friends or maybe I'm not doing something else. Ultimately, focusing on the key thing. And the benefit of me completing that sprint was I was able to then launch my business, and I was already married. So many people know in a relationship how much time you would waste on phone, meeting up and all that stuff. And you are essentially ruining your future by wasting your own time. So I was like, I remember actually telling my dad that, he's like, why do you want to get married now? I was like, I want to get married because, I have plans to make millions in my life. And to do that, I need to solve this first. And people were looking at me like I'm crazy. But I was like, no, because if I don't, it's going to be something that's going to be hanging over me. And how am I going to commit to my business and actually trying to grow that if I'm still trying to date or figure out when to get engaged or figure out how to do a wedding and do all this other stuff? It's not the right way to do it. So got married. That's done. Now let's start the business, which was on to my second thing, launching a business. I did what everybody tries to do. It's a side thing. Don't quit till you have some customers, don't leave your job. You don't want to take a risk like that. You want to make sure, everything is good. That's what everybody tells you. I was the same. I was kidding myself. I would go to work every day and in my lunch breaks or in the evening, I would try to do some research, try to do some work, hustling. And, truth is nothing was happening. And that's when I decided it's time to do a sprint. And the sprint is, I'm going to launch a business, I'm going to make it work, and it's going to work. So I left my job, no money, no anything else, and the sprint began. And the sprint is, I'm going to dedicate all my time to doing this one thing. So I gave myself for a 1 year period, not going to do the things I used to do. I used to hang out with friends. We used to go to like shisha cafes. We would play poker. I would know the latest of every single, football transfer. I would be into so many random things that basically had no benefit for me personally. So this 1 year I dedicated to, I'm going to figure out online. I'm going to figure out how to sell stuff online. I'm going to figure out how to make mobile apps, whatever that thing was, and allowed myself to actually learn, develop as a person and to be able to physically do it. So by choosing to do a full sprint and nothing else matters. Of course, besides the non-negotiables, of course, I want to see my family. Of course, I have to spend time with my wife, etc. Go to the gym or whatever, right? You'll have some non-negotiables. Don't get me wrong. But you remove everything else that is not that important whilst you're going through that sprint. And that is fine. For so long, I felt guilty about chasing something on my own because I didn't go to a family wedding, because I didn't go to someone's birthday party, or didn't respond to someone's message and they're like, hey, bro, let's chill out, whatever. That's exactly that 1 year that I needed, because when I quit my job, it actually allowed me to quit my job because I had the mindset of this, it has to work. And it's about sitting and focusing and getting it done. Some practical stuff in that is things change so much. If you are doing one thing, you go to sleep, you wake up and you're still doing that same one thing. The biggest reason most people are not successful is you have, like I said, too many goals. And even if you're like, no, I know what I'm doing, I'm on top of it, etc. But you still have way too many micro goals that you think you can do all at once. And every time I actually talk about this topic, most of the comments on socials would be, well, no, I don't really believe that. I think you can really do a couple of things at once and you can do it. Truth is you can't. You can't execute anything at a very high level and actually win if you're not fully focused on it. And you can see this in any sports to anything else. The only way to really achieve something is by doing it in that way. Its difference is it's not at all costs. The difference is that it's mentally knowing that I'm entering into this sprint and it's going to end its well at some point. So it's okay. And I'll even give you a deeper example. And the same things will happen for you in opportunities. So, I signed a creator once. The opportunity came to launch a mobile app in 6 weeks. So it was a micro sprint of like, wow, if we did this, it basically was worth millions of dollars for one of the biggest people in the world. And so I was like, okay, I'm actually going to stop everything else and I'm going to focus on this. And essentially meant we slept in the office for a few days and everything else. But we launched it and it was the single biggest app on the Apple App Store outside of games when we did that. It's because I did a sprint. Because I knew I have some things that are going to have to stop. It's new that I have to say to my, family that I won't be able to see them. It's like the benefit of a sprint is that you are opting into it. If you're opting into it, it means that you can manage all the different stakeholders in your life. You can manage yourself mentally when you're tired. For me, it's like a training camp going for a fight. You know exactly what you're signing up for when a boxer does that. And that's how life sprints are. Just like I knew when I was getting married, I want to have to go and look at 20 venues, 20 menu tasting stuff. I'm going to have to figure out who am I going to invite, I have to figure out what I'm going to wear and all that stuff, right? And because I opted into it, I wasn't bothered. I was happy. I wanted to do all of it. I wanted to drive from one place to another, sit in 3 hours in traffic and not get annoyed about it because I opted into it. Most things that annoy you, or most things that you don't like, or most things that hold you back, or whatever that is, it's mainly because you didn't actually want to do that, or you didn't basically opt into it as a person, mentally, emotionally, physically, that this is what I want to do. Because if you do, then it's not hard because it's just your perception of it. So going back to it, business, so many times I've done these mini sprints to achieve something. And I often say to people now, even clients, I know it's tough. I know you have to film 50 videos and put out 30 posts and you have to travel to 3 countries, but just a sprint, because at the end of it, something major is about to happen. Similarly, I'll move on to another sprint as an example, which is a big life achievement for me. Obviously, building a business, which has been really successful. Obviously, it's a continuous game of sprints now. And even before I move on to my third one, then naturally, when I had my first child, it was the same thing, right? I want to be there. I want to be like the best dad I possibly can be. So I knew that the months leading up to it, I'm like hard sprint. But then it's a hard sprint being the best dad possible. And that is the point of this video. It's not about just hustle and win and money, money, money. No, your life you should design like that, because then I'm all in, right? So if I'm spending now 3 weeks having a new baby, that's all I want to do. And I want to mentally fully immerse myself in that because I want to enjoy the shit out of it. But to do that, the sprint before was equally as important to do the baby sprint. And it's like a psychological thing in terms of how you think about your life. And for me, it's like each major thing I've done, I do it in this way. So I'm mentally fully opted in to be like, this is the focus. It doesn't matter if, sales are a bit low. It doesn't matter if this hasn't happened. It doesn't matter if this person's quit. Like all these things are happening. It's okay because here's my focus. Because when I jump back onto that, when I do my next sprint to grow my business or to do whatever, I'm going to go and kill it. So I know it's okay. So in a similar way, when COVID came for us, obviously as a business, crazy time, don't know what to do, whatever. I went down into a sprint. I'm going to raise money for my business because it was killing it. We grew 3 times. Essentially, we grew 300% year on year. And, there's opportunity for me to, raise money. So that's it. Head down, sprint. It means building a 100-page business plan, building a 5-year financial model, figuring out who are all the investors in the world that I want to thingy, reading books, watching videos, like immerse myself in it. So I become an expert at pitching, at speaking, the way I'm going to present the business, every little thing, right? Understanding my own numbers, metrics, everything. Essentially become a student of whatever thing you're trying to achieve and you fully focus on it. And, went down that sprint, end up raising $11 million at the end of it. So it was a success. And then it was like, okay, it was like, a 3-week family holiday and it was nonstop fun and every single thing I want to do. Amazing. Then flip straight to back into business mode. And now it's a full sprint about growth. And I hired 30. So at the time, we were only 30 people and we got to 100 people. So I hired essentially 70 people and doing all of those interviews myself. Why? Because I entered into a sprint of hiring at all costs. Screw it. 27 interviews in a day? Screw it. I'll do it. Not like it's too much for me. I can't handle it. I don't want to be doing this. Or I really like just doing 2-hour Zoom calls a day. I still want to, keep running on the side because I need to increase my speed. Oh, I also still want to learn a bit more about, I don't know, the sea. So I'm going to listen to some podcasts about that. Or, I'm going to pick up therapy because I always wanted to try that. And that is the problem. You cannot do that. You need to stop letting yourself have all these goals. I have those goals. One day I would love to learn other languages. It's just not the time right now. But the day I'm going to sprint to learn another language, I'm going to learn another language. The day I sprint to become, an amazing swimmer or learn scuba diving, I want to be the best scuba diving I could possibly do. Today, I can't do that. So stop chasing lots of things at once. The real cheat code to success and life is to really consciously plan what you are focusing your attention on. It's not even necessarily about time management. It's literally about your focus. Because when you opted in, and for me, this is a big thing, and maybe it's not for anybody else. Because when I opt into something, it means I'm mentally clocked into it, meaning I'm dialed in. When you're having a shower, when you're trying to go to sleep, when you're running, when you're in the gym, when you're doing something, you're constantly thinking about this thing that you're trying to solve, do, learn, grow, whatever that is. You are that's my focus. My focus is I'm trying to do this thing. Recently, I launched a new business for Creator College, and it was the same thing. I had to lock in for about 2 months, which meant, everything else had to stop. I had to film, 60 plus videos. I had to hire 10 other creators. I had to manage the whole business. I had to get it live from zero, write all the copy, plan all the ads, plan all the stuff. And when basically we did $500,000 in the first month, close to it, just because I went on a 2-month sprint and launched a brand new business, I owned 50% off. And that's an exact example. And it's time and time again, that is the way to it. Look, hopefully what I've been saying in this video makes some sense. And if it does, I'll leave my newsletter down below. Sign up to it. I send this sort of stuff every single week to help other, entrepreneurs, founders out. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video.